Hi, welcome to Libby Presents Ghost News Network. Today is our paranormal news and discussion, and we're going to continue our series of talking about different TV shows that are out there. And today's show we're going to be discussing is haunted hospitals. So, Mike, I'll start with you. What do you think of haunted hospitals?
So
Beyond gave it away. That's the review right there.
Yeah. So with haunted hospitals, here's my issue with it. So you have the show A Haunting that came out 2 decades ago. So what's happening now is they're taking that concept and they're now breaking it down into 100 million different shows.
Yep.
So, when The Haunted came out, it worked because that was their thing. So with these other shows, it's not horrible. The stories, here's my issue. There's a lot of editing and production involved.
Oh yeah.
You can tell because you're taking people that are not normally on camera. These people work in a hospital, they have nothing to do with anything, and you're throwing them in front of a camera, and they sound, I don't want to say professional, but it's very scripted. Like, you're telling them exactly what to say. To me, that makes the credibility of the experience that has happened there just drop. And that's with all those types of shows like that. Anything that's got that layout does exactly that. Unless you're dealing with like haunted movie stars, where those people are used to being in front of a camera and telling a storyline, that's different. When you grab somebody out of everyday life and you throw them in front of a camera, they're not going to sound like that. We know this because we filmed documentaries and we filmed before, and there's been times where, say if Elliot was on camera and he says something, we're like, cut. It sounds like shit. Redo it. Here's the storyline. We never tell you what to say. We say, here's the storyline. You don't need to say it word for it. Read it, put it in your own words, say it. That's it. Not, here's a piece of paper, read off of this. That's exactly what's happening on these shows. They're literally reading off of a fucking piece of paper. I think it's very, at this day and age, with video editing, they're stuck back in like the 80s. That was cool when Ghostbusters 1 came out back in the mid-80s, but we're in 2020. You never change technology, like, that's sad, so I think just that some of that stuff's a little annoying. And I definitely can tell they exaggerate the shit
Oh yeah.
out of the experiences.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I watch it because it's just, we get credit for it in here. I mean, that's really it. I don't watch it for anything else. It's not like you're going to investigate these places. These are open facilities. They're not closed down. That's my take. It's one of those things where, like, you DVR it, and that's what happened to me. I DVR'd and it sat for like 4 or 5 months. And then when I had nothing else to watch, I'd watch that. I would watch
Damn
that.
COVID.
I'll tell you right now, though, I would watch that before I watch Paranormal on camera. Just saying.
That's because for a fact when you're watching haunted hospitals there is dramatization to it.
Right.
Because of the reenacting and because of the other stuff. The paranormal caught on camera, they're just bullshitting all the way around. But I mean, it depends. It depends to me on the individual story. Because
I can see that.
there's some where somebody's seeing a shadow mist or something like that, but it's not that intense, and they're like, okay,
Right.
that makes sense. But then when somebody's saying they're seeing an archangel in a hospital, and they, to pass someone over, I'm just like, I don't know. And like, the first episode, I'm going to use this as the example. So the woman sees an archangel over her mom, who's sick in the hospital. And then the archangel says, you should know me. And then they go back into this other story about how she almost died and saw him before. And, I know that they mentioned the angel's name and, and all that other stuff. And it's just like, it's an archangel. It's one of the top 7. It's like, I think he's got other stuff going on. They're playing Soul Courier. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. As you know, it's just some of the stories are real hard to swallow.
Yeah.
You know, and then others are not crazy.
No.
And it's just like, oh, they had these weird experiences, and that's cool. And those I'm okay with.
Right.
Because then I'm thinking to myself, how much did they have to pull to make it sound this, and they still have almost nothing. I saw a shadow once. You want to be on the show? All right. You know,
You
so
can do a half hour on that.
I don't discredit the fact that
these people had experiences.
hospitals are haunted.
Oh,
Like, if you think about it, out of most locations that many people investigate, putting aside like battlefields and abandoned insane asylums, hospitals make the most sense to be currently haunted. Because of just everything going on there. You have so much different type of energy in one condensed place. So it makes sense. But
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I mean, you guys both said a lot of what I was gonna say. I mean, very overproduced. Just not believe. Like, it just feels very, very scripted. Like, I had a hard time believing that this stuff either happened at all to these people, or like you said, like something little happened, and they were given a script of how to make it sound way better than it really was.
Extrapolated on. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't like that. I mean, you know, if you have a good story to tell, it'll be entertaining on its own. You shouldn't have to, you know, either have it pulled out or built on. So again, the concept was good. I was, you know, I thought it was a good idea. I just didn't love the execution.
Okay.
Fair.
Just wanted to add.
Yeah, so I got a couple things. So one of my big things with it was I watched the entire show as it was in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks. And the biggest problem I had with it was what they do with the episodes is split into basically 2 or 3 different stories. First story, I found myself kind of invested and interested. By the second and third story, I'm just like, stop already. It's just so overdone, and I feel like that would solve a lot of the issues you guys are talking about, where it's so scripted and whatnot. Well, that's because they have to fit 45 minutes into one episode.
Right.
If they would just take that and cut it down to 30 minutes and put 2 stories, 15 minutes each, let these stories be their own. Let them let the people tell the stories. I think it would make for a much more interesting show. But every single episode I would watch, I would sit there, first 15 minutes, I'm invested, I'm enjoying it. Second 15 minutes, I'm like, all right. By the 30-minute mark, I just want it to end. I'm no longer enjoying it. It's just, you've gone too far. You've gone too far. So like, if they would just do two stories in 30 minutes, perfect. That cuts down on a lot of this extra scripting that they're doing. It makes it just, I think it would just make it a better show. It'd make it flow better. So that's my opinion. It's got a lot of potential there. But for some reason, all these ghost shows seem to think that they have to make a 45 to an hour long TV show. You don't.
You don't.
There was a point where we enjoyed 30-minute TV shows in our lives. We have less time now, COVID aside, and all of a sudden every show has to be 45 minutes to an hour. That's not entertaining to me. That's just a chore to watch at that point. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day, Sightings was a half-hour show, I believe.
I think it might have been, yeah.
And Sightings was great.
That was a good
so
one.
far ahead of its time for what it was.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it did it before everyone else, but it was a good show. It's one of the things that really got me into the paranormal as a kid. So, you know, they had the concept right.
And I think you're right, because I think the format for the show is like not a batshit crazy story. It's like mediocre paranormal experience.
Absolutely.
Second story is always batshit crazy. Batshit crazy. And then the third one is just completely just pitters out. So I agree, and it feels like every episode is like that. So,
That's a good point.
I agree.
I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I'm very down the middle. I liked it, but it didn't hold my attention.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you guys think of haunted hospitals? Let us know in the comments section below. If you haven't yet, you can give this video a like, share, and subscribe, or you can click that little notification bell to know when all of our content is uploaded to YouTube. So thank you guys again for joining us, and until next time, take care, guys.